Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 278. I'm Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Zaniski. Hello.
Hey, it's me. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing today?
Good.
Very fine. So, I was, of course, at the family get-together that happens every Sunday in my family, and our first patron is also the loudest one, and he was like, I cannot believe you guys forgot about the Zamnyad Z24.
No, we didn't forget about the Zamnyad Z24. It was a first-round knockout.
No. The first episode of World Cup of Cars this year, we tried to remember who won it in 2018, and we couldn't come up with it on the spot there. Yeah, and Scott was angrily listening to the episode at that time, so I put it in here to acknowledge that we didn't say it on that episode, but of course we would never forget about the Zamnyad Z24, and maybe I'll add it back to the banner.
We will be updating the banner after next episode, actually.
Yeah, I looked at the notes, and I'm very excited because we're catching up on a lot of things that we haven't done for quite some time.
Yes, next week, when you are listening, unless you're listening live, next week will be the Modi Awards and our bear market, bull market list.
Hell yes.
So I'm very excited for that.
If you were listening on Twitch, just go ahead and keep listening because that will happen for you yet today. But the rest of you listening on normal venues next week. All right, before we get into topics, patreon.com/Carbitrage. On this super cool handcrafted website, you'll find 3 open-ended levels of support starting at just $1 a month. Helps us pay hosting costs and things like that. We would greatly appreciate it, but there's no requirement. Patreon.com/Carbitrage. I actually did place the order for shirts, so those should be coming soon.
Great.
I am bummed that the minimum size is small and the upmost size is 3X. I asked Tucker if that would work. He's like, no. I'm like, okay, fine. I tried. So at least I will have koozies and all that shit. I looked into hats, but all the styles were really bad. So at some point I'll get those coming too.
They don't have like a trucker hat like I usually wear?
No.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, they had like really, really like just like late 90s style cuts and everything for like baseball caps and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I really don't want that. I want to actually wear the thing. So I'll keep looking, see if I can find a better vendor for that. But Chase specifically, don't worry, shirts en route. And, I'll have Ryan get in touch with you once that's here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I have the first topic today, and of course it's about EVs, because that's pretty much all I talk about these days. But
to be fair, I'm going down that path as well. I'm pretty much only talking about EVs or old cars.
Because they're the most interesting thing we can currently talk about, like the status quo of like combustion vehicles that's on sale, and we're actually going to talk about that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just bleh. So, anyway, moving back to electric cars, I want to talk about Hyundai Kia and how they're continually just completely killing it with EVs. We've seen that with the Ioniq 5, 6, the EV6, the GV60, I believe is the Genesis product. But this is actually in relation to a patent they're filing for on solid-state battery tech. So we've heard for more than my entire lifetime, how the next big thing in battery technology is coming right around the corner. In the last 5-10 years, the buzzword has been solid-state battery.
Yeah.
And we've heard most recently about like aluminum air, and like they are actually in production. They do work, but the problem is they haven't been miniaturized and made cheap enough to actually put into mass production.
And now Hyundai Kia might
Supposedly, this patent says that they have now gotten them to the point where they're commercially viable and they're able to be packaged into an energy-dense enough thing for an EV.
That's pretty cool.
Like the Ioniq 5. So I'm excited cautiously, but like this company hasn't lied to us about EV stuff that much in the past 5 years. So that's the main reason I'm covering it, because I do actually believe them. If Volkswagen had said this, I'd be like, right, okay, sure.
Fun battery fact.
Yes.
18 650s will chamber into a 12-gauge shotgun.
I'm sorry, I have to ask, why do you know this?
Well, I'm in this like cursed gun image group, and this guy took a shotgun shell and disassembled it.
Okay.
And like cut the powder charge by a lot.
Okay.
Put like a little pad in between it and an 18650 and used an 18650 as a slug.
I mean, I suppose it would work. It wouldn't fly that straight, I wouldn't think.
No,
but
it is quite incendiary.
Hopefully it's fully charged too. So
it was very incendiary. Yep.
Who needs tracers when you got Tesla Model S cells?
18650 is.
My vape's getting a little spicy, so I think I'm going to use this one as a round.
Yeah,
Right.
I thought that was worth mentioning. That is my battery news for the day.
I'd say that's
So
just
Hyundai's
as...
making solid-state batteries in 18650s. are
and Americans are using them as Civil War grade munitions.
Yeah, they're incendiary rounds for your home defense shotgun.
And let's not ignore the fact that they will definitely blindside whatever they hit.
Oh yeah, no, you are not expecting that. Like that the person who is like there is not a medic kit available for what happened to him.
You're never gonna believe this.
You won't believe this. It's just you won't believe it. So yeah, that's a fun fact.
Well, I now know that. Thank you.
So, I was thinking.
Oh God.
Yes, this happens to me. We haven't done one of these questions where like we like actually air our opinions on something rather than just like reading news.
Like purely opinion piece, yeah.
Exactly. I was wondering, what do you think the most iconic year is of the 2010s? Because, like, like, in, like, the 50s, like, 1957 is, like, the year. 1964 is the year. 73, 86, etc.
It's when, like, more than one manufacturer, more than one technology lands
when pretty
in one
much,
year.
like, it all peaked.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think that was? And for that matter, we'll go back, like, the 2000s and the 90s as well. Because this is, a question that a lot of millennials are, like, now that we are all affording the cars we want, for the most part, except for me.
I'm sorry, right as I looked up, there was a red truck on the railroad tracks just ripping.
So what I think the best year of the 2010s was 2012.
Why?
So yeah, Fiat was like on fire. Everything they made was great at that point.
Well, they were just landing.
Yep, you had the 500X, the 500L with turbo engines. You had the Abarth. You had the
Abarth didn't come until the next model year.
No, it was 2000. Okay.
No, trust me. Scott bought his car. It was delivered in 2011.
Really? I thought it was.
Even though the Abarths are 2012 model year, they didn't come until the following year. So
it's a model year. The model year is what matters. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The model year of 2012.
Then you were,
because yes, the 2012 Abarth was there.
Yep.
You had SCCA Spec V Racing, which was the Mazda 2 versus the Toyota Yaris versus the Honda Fit in a like
the
stock
angriest,
car
slowest,
stock racing.
funnest
Yes,
racing.
it's very cool. And they made factory like specification cars. Like
I know we
you
talked
could
about
buy
the Fits
one.
before.
You buy a Fit with a roll cage in 2012. That's really cool. I love that.
Walking through the dealer. What is that?
That was also the very last year of the Mazda RX-8, which was the last rotary. So although it fizzled out like a bad fart.
Wow, I picked a very similar year and for very similar reasons, but I'll wait until
But yeah,
you're done with your choice.
the RX-8, I
Can't believe they made that until 2012.
I know, yeah, it was a giant turd. But still, the thing is that it was rotary engine in production in 2012.
Right.
And I think that is worth mentioning. So yeah, I would say definitely 2012 would be my pick for the 2010s. What would be your pick?
I picked 2011.
Okay, fair.
And for similar reasons. Mainly that was, like, in my opinion, the last gasp of enthusiasm out of BMW, and they made a ton of good product in that one year. They made the 1M, that was the last of the hydraulic steering cars.
That was 2011.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the Boxster Spider, which is the only Porsche I really care about from the modern era because it's terrible. The top takes like 30 minutes to put on. There's no benefit to it. It's way more expensive. I'm like, I love this car. That's fantastic. Like the Diesel X5, for whatever reason, was just tremendously good, and that was a 2011 product. There were a couple issues with it, but it was also the year Fiat landed on the ground in the United States. Scott got the Prima, and honestly,
I really think that's worth mentioning because like.
But Mercedes too, like they went from the 204 died that year, and like they went to the nasty Jelly Bean 205.
Oh yeah,
yeah, with the turbo engine.
I think you might be right with 2011 because like
I think they're the same thing though, because like you picked the model year, I picked the actual year, and it's like that. Like I said, we picked almost the same year for almost the same reasons. So I think that really was the pinnacle. What about the Naughties? What was your favorite year of the Naughties?
Favorite year of the Naughties, 2000s. Was
whatever I call them the Naughties.
Yeah.
That's the only old person thing I do.
2006.
Okay, why?
That was the peak of everything that they were making in that era before the recession.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Because you had, like, it doesn't matter what you were into, there was something available for you. Like, I believe that 2000 CR was available that year. It could be wrong. That might be a.
It was either 05 or 06.
Either way, you get an AP2. It's fine. Like, AP2 is
True.
Fine.
That was definitely on the docket in that year, yes.
I'm pretty sure the NSX was still around.
Yeah, 05 or 06 was its last
Yeah.
year, but again, you
But,
could buy a new one for
pretty
sure.
sure. Like, you could definitely find one in a dealership.
Oh yes, 100%.
But also, like, you had the Colorado available with a V8. You had
The Alpha or whatever.
all of the Hummers were around if you were into that sort of thing.
And you could get a manual Hummer.
Yes, you could get a Wrangler Unlimited, which is a long wheelbase 2-door Wrangler. Very cool.
And that was the it was the TJ.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a long wheelbase TJ Wrangler. Very
really
cool.
rare.
Super.
They only
cool
made those
truck.
for a year or two.
Yeah, a very cool truck.
I forgot about the TJU.
Yeah.
Huh.
So and then that was the year that like Honda like had like a comeback with the Civic Si.
Let's not forget the EXP Element facelift
Yes,
as well.
EXP Element facelift. You had the Element SC as well.
That didn't come until later. That was
was it?
2010.
It was 2010. Never mind.
It was a little later, but it wasn't 06. That was the EXP.
2006 is also the first year the Honda Fit in the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I thought those came earlier, but I guess not. Yeah, 04 there was the Jazz
No, they
overseas.
were
and then-
made in
yeah.
03, actually 02.
Really?
It was the first year of the Jazz.
Imagine buying a Jazz in 02. You could still be driving that happily today.
No, that like literally, by the time we got the first generation Honda Fit, it had already been around for an entire model cycle.
Well, it's just like when we got the Fiat 500.
Yeah, like it was an entire model cycle before we got it. But yeah, very cool car.
I picked 2003, and
Yes.
again for almost the same reasons. And this
also,
one,
one second.
yeah,
I believe the MR2 is still around in 06.
05 was its last model year. But again, like the NSX, you could still buy a
You
new
can
one.
still find them. Like they were attainable.
Yeah, great. I don't need a ZZW30, but like
really
they're starting to appreciate.
You need it.
You know, I need to put that on my buy list actually.
That you need a ZZW30 now before you can't.
And there are so many cheap 2ZZ swapped ones too. I'm
I know.
like,
I
oh
really
my
think you should do
God.
that. You should really.
But I love my 124.
It's fine. You don't need just one Japanese car. It's okay to have more than one Japanese car.
No,
Eric.
I will have more than one Japanese car, but I don't need like two lightweight 2-seater convertibles.
They're different vehicles.
I know they are.
No, one is a car which you drive on the road. That's what the 124 is. And then the ZZW30 is a car that you take to autocross if the mood ever strikes you. There you go.
I don't enjoy
nope,
waiting for 4 hours between
Nope.
runs in a parking lot.
That's your reasoning for buying it, in case the mood ever strikes you to go autocrossing.
I mean, let's be real. That's basically how I buy every car.
Yeah, exactly. That you have to have a very specific purpose for every vehicle.
Anyway.
And the ZZW30, furthermore, takes up about the same footprint as
Your shoe.
this shoe, this specific shoe.
Let the record show Ryan removed his shoe to show it to me.
Yes, that's how much space it takes.
All right. My reasons, though, 2003.
Yes.
Launch of the K-Series. Launch of the Element. The last good year of the pre-Bengal BMWs.
The
I think
K
that was
series,
it.
the K series did.
K-Series
launch in a-
alone.
It did launch as a big fart.
Because it started with the A3 and the A4.
It was really bad.
We didn't get the A2 until a 4.
Yeah, I know. It
Started with only the
I
tall
think
deck engines.
03 was like everything changed, and people were naive enough to go, "Hey, the 90s will continue.
Yeah.
Things are changing, but this will be okay."
Well, okay, let's. The
And then
90s will continue.
Speaking of the 90s,
Yeah.
1997, you had
We just did the same thing because I picked the year and you picked the model year.
really,
Yeah.
So this is my reason for 97. I have a specific purpose.
All
for
right,
this.
lay it on me.
All right. So 97 was you had the Civic Si, you had the Integra Type R, you
Okay.
had the Mark IV Supra.
Oh, yeah.
And the Civic Si was started in 97. So that's why I
Okay.
said 97, not 96. I wanted to say 96. And I will back up your 96 in 1 second here. You still had a lot of the gizmos. Well, not a lot. You had some of the high-tech gizmos in the 3000 GT still. You had the NSX. You had everything that was great in the world. What year did the Ferrari 360 come out? Was that 99?
No, it was 2000.
So you didn't have the 360 yet.
Thank God.
Yeah. So like you didn't. The world wasn't ruined by that vehicle.
And that was actually the first year of second year of Motronic 5.2.
Yes.
So
And 97 was, I think, the first year of the water-cooled Porsche, which is good because I hate Porsches and I want bad
you're
things to
right.
happen to that company. So yeah.
well, the Boxster started in 96.
Well, 911. I should say.
Yeah, those started in 98 or 99.
I think it was 97.
Really? For the 996, you might be right. I don't know.
Control T, 1997.
Just Google the 996. and Look.
Porsche 911. It was, in fact, yes, the last year of the air-cooled. So there you go. That's cool.
Okay, so the last year of the
very last year of
Gotcha.
the air-cooled Porsche, which is
Perfect.
fine. I don't like Porsche. Also,
I do not
you
either.
could get a 968 Club Sport 97, if I'm not
Those are
mistaken.
cool.
That is about as good of a Porsche as you can get.
What do those go for these days?
Good money.
Okay, damn it.
This is a Club Sport specifically, but you can get a normal 968 for reasonable money.
I do like that awkward 3-liter 4-cylinder.
I really love how stupid. I don't like Porsche, but I also like 4-cylinders that are absurd sizes.
It's a forklift engine that they just put like a Cosworth head on, I swear.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I think it actually was derived from an Audi truck engine.
Well, yeah, because
Like, literally, like that's what was in the 924 was an Audi truck engine.
yeah, it's a gradual evolution. Like they changed shockingly little on the 924, 944, and entire run that it did.
They engineered around the problem. Yeah, that's all they did.
They're still doing that.
Yep, that's what they do.
So anyway, I picked 1996, and there's like same reason I chose 03 is like this was really when the BMW team started falling from grace.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Then 1996 was the last year of four-wheel steering in the 3000 GT. That also was the last year of the Spider in the 3000 GT.
Oh, that is a cool car.
So you can get four-wheel steering and a convertible top on a 3000 GT.
Man,
That's really
when
good.
all that stuff worked all at once, I bet it was tremendous.
Oh yeah, it would be
Now
really
though,
cool.
I cannot even imagine owning a 3000 GT VR4
Oh, it'd
Spider.
be terrible. It'd be the
But
worst.
they're
experience.
so cool.
Yeah, they're very cool.
I remember
Yes.
seeing one down here actually at a Cars and Coffee ages ago,
Yeah, it was
and the
Kurt's,
top
yeah.
was half down.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
like,
Kurt's.
I wonder if it's broken in that position.
No, it's not. Kurt's cars are. Kurt spends, like your brother's Mark's amount of money on cars, and he spends them on Mitsubishis. So he just owns several cars. But
and
they
at
all
least one
work.
is working.
They
Okay.
all work flawlessly.
So yeah, there's a lot of expenditure happening there.
Yes, there is.
Honestly, these aren't for reasons why I like them, but this was the first year of the ground-up redesigned Ford F-150, which was very significant.
Oh, I hated that.
I know, but like that's what ushered in like modern pickup truck design, and it did end up working really well for them because I mean that went onto the Super Duty like a couple years later, and that continued up until like 2 years ago.
The 95 F-150 though.
Oh,
is
it's a way better looking truck.
That is like my favorite, especially the Lightning is just
Oh,
a
yeah.
perfect vehicle.
The 351 Lightning.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the birth of the CUV with the
Oh,
W163.
I think that's when the 454 SS was around.
Yeah, that checks out. I think they came out a couple years earlier. But it was also the first year for some really modern engines like the Mercedes M112 and M113,
Oh, that was 90 through 93. I was wrong.
BMW's M52. So, I mean, it's a very significant year. But it's like that's when all that stuff was at the auto shows, and 97 is when all that really came to fruition.
Yes.
So, again, we picked basically the
Very,
same thing
very
for very
close.
similar reasons.
But
So-
yeah, going back the years prior to that, 86 obviously, like that was the peak of the 80s. You had the 4S fuel injected Mustang. You had
I didn't pick any of the other decades.
oh, don't worry, I'm just going through really quick.
Cool.
A86, you had the E30 M3, correct? In 86, yeah.
Yep, in
You had-
Europe.
Yeah, everything was good. Like everything, like the 80s peaked in 1986, 70s peaked in
The only thing I don't like about 1986 is the DOT third brake light requirement.
Oh, that was 86,
That made a lot of cars ugly.
Yep, that is true.
For 1 year only while they designed it.
Yeah, and then
Third brake
the next year they all had LED brake lights. Yeah,
So we can thank 1986 for really pushing LED innovation.
yes, and that was like part of why. That's why I love the AW11 MR2 because it's such a
Yeah.
mess. Every year had a different spoiler. Like they could not figure out if they wanted to put a sway bar in the front. Like for 2 years they had a sway bar and then they didn't. And then they went to like just a rear sway bar, and they had like a bigger front sway bar and a smaller rear. They could not figure out how to like just make the car work.
They're really
correctly.
trying to keep Americans from snapovers.
Yeah, they really were.
But failing at it
Yes,
every year.
exactly. So 73 was the last year before you had emissions. So
And bumpers.
and bumpers. And I will tell you that is actually the year, and I went out of my own personal choices for 73 because my all-time favorite muscle car is the 74 GTO.
Oh, okay.
Are you familiar with that?
No, but I mean, if you're
Control T, bring it up on the screen.
if you are overlooking, let's see, 1974 GTO.
It is the 73 GTO engine
Okay.
and like drivetrain with like a very inefficient catalytic converter and a very strangled
Is it one of those
carburetor.
like 50-inch wide pancake
It's like a
converters?
one-way, super long cat. It's so
just
bad.
completely chock full of platinum.
Yeah, and then it had a really tiny carburetor on it, but it still had the same camshaft, the same
It's a
distributor.
reasonable resolution photo.
The air intake is actually functional. That's the last year that Pontiac
Oh, yeah.
had a
like a
functional
shaker.
scoop on it. Yeah, it was the last year of a functional shaker hood, and it weighed 800 pounds less than a 73 GTO.
How many?
800 pounds less than a 73 GTO. But because of
Boy, howdy.
but because of the emissions requirements, and they also had a really high take rate for positive traction rear ends because like just Chevy was, or not Chevy, but Pontiac was just shoveling like all the performance parts into this to try to make it as good as possible.
Okay.
And
So how much like physically smaller was this than the 73?
so this one's like I think like 8 inches shorter and
Okay.
like 4 inches narrower. Like it went from being a full size to a mid size.
Okay.
So this is smaller than Jana's Buick, but a little bit bigger than my Cresta.
I'm getting some Opala vibes.
It's about the size of an Opala. Actually, it's the same. It's the same chassis. Like it's the same body as an Opala.
I kind of like the micro muscle
Yeah,
cars.
like this is very cool. And so the thing is, because they also got hit with net horsepower that year, like it had like a third the power.
How many cubic inches and how
Like,
many horsepower?
It was like 350 horsepower, or it was 350 cubic inches and like 170 horsepower or something.
Oh, that's
It
pretty
was the
spicy.
first year of that garbage. But the thing is once you put on a 73 carburetor and you took the catalytic
Right.
converters out, you
and
uncorked
sold
it.
them for like $10,000.
Yeah, you uncorked it, and now you suddenly have an actually significantly faster vehicle. So that was like the coolest muscle car.
But you're still
By-
picking 73.
I'm still picking 73 because like the 74 GTO aside, like
That was also the first year of the square tail in 74. So like, yeah, 73 is
73
way better.
exactly. Like everything else was better. It was also the year of the Kinmurray GTR, which they made 173 of them, and it was the perfect skyline. So yeah, 73 is just a great year, and 64 obviously. Virgil Exner was finally put into an asylum, and cars looked normal again. And you know, as much as I love like horrible looking cars, like it was better for humanity, and it was the last year before the Mustang came out.
Yeah, thanks back to the 50s.
And then 57 was when Virgil Exner was doing his drugs, but like didn't quite succumb to them. So yeah, 57 was the peak of the 50s. Like you had the Dodge Dodge D501 NASCAR, which had a supercharger and fuel injection.
And it was the second year of the Firepower Hemi?
Yeah, it was the second year of the Firepower Hemi. You had the fuel injected Tri-5s. You had all the good things.
Did you have a Pegaso? Yeah,
Pegaso.
it was one of the last years of the
Yeah, it
Pegaso.
was the last year. It was one of the end of the Pegaso. Like 57 was a very good year as well. So I will not go into the 40s, 30s, 20s,
Thank you.
10s, and
Teens. And again, naughties.
naughties. Yeah. Although I do have answers for every year, and
Ryan,
I will.
that has never been a doubt for me. Thank you. Oh my God.
All right. Anyway,
All right, back to the 90s very briefly. So in the late 90s, I was in the back of an E38 740 IL, and I was loving it because those
Good.
cars
That's
are
a
still
good car.
fantastic, especially the pre-Vanos ones. But I always looked down on people with the Lincoln LSs because it just looked like a really like Wish.com-y version of a BMW. And I didn't entirely realize that you could get a Getrag 5-speed manual in these
what?
until today. Yeah, the 3-liter with the Sport Pack, you could get it with a stick.
Oh, now I want that.
I know, right? Like a V6 Lincoln LS with a manual?
I
And it's just an S-Type that's better.
don't like these because everything that's bad about Jaguar is just these.
And Ford.
Yeah,
Like it
like
took
it is the worst of everything.
The movie Twins,
Yeah.
where they explained Danny DeVito, all the leftover crap went into him. That's
Yeah.
what this car is.
This is the Danny DeVito twin of the Jaguar S-Type.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Like,
But this came with a stick.
which is cool. Actually, you could not get that. Wait,
In this country, you could not get an S-Type with a stick.
I think you might have.
I'm pretty sure you could not, because I talked to a friend of mine that totaled his S-Type R, but he had it, and he was telling me about the transmission you need to get into the U.S., but it came from the diesel S-Type.
2004 Jaguar S-Type 3-liter V6 manual sedan.
No way.
Yep.
Really?
I was like, I'm pretty sure I wrote one at work.
You know what? That makes sense because they clearly federalized that powertrain, so why not get some mileage out of it? Wow, are there any for sale in this country right now?
I'm pretty sure I wrote one at work.
Huh.
I'm
But I mean, this makes me like kind of like the Lincoln LS now. Also, I just clicked on a link and it probably do a Malibu for sale. What the hell? Okay, Autopian, your oh, that was an ad. Oh, that's clever. That's an ad.
Oh, huh.
Right? It's not a photo gallery. But I don't know. I mean, the Lincoln LS is aged fairly well as far as Lincoln product of that era, visually.
Yes.
Everything else, it's not good at all.
No, it definitely looks good. And I think the problem with the LS is, as much as the LS existed, like, had going for it, the Mark 8 existed.
Also, the E39 528 existed, which is a way better
But I mean, like,
car.
even within, if you lived your entire life, and if you
Yeah, for sure. If you needed a Lincoln,
like if you would cease to like exist after you've left the lot of a Lincoln dealership without buying a Lincoln, the Mark 8 existed. Like, that was actually a very cool vehicle, and like they had two completely different. Wow, look at that!
Yeah, no,
they had two completely different Mark 8s.
But you're right. I mean, that car had the Intec V8 already.
Yeah.
The 4-cam modular, which is
well, they
awesome.
they had two totally different like headlight styles. They had the super narrow ones and the really giant ones. Like, both of them were great.
Hey, man, you got to make all your customers happy.
Love that. So,
But I thought that was cool.
both of these cars totally would fit within a 1 horsepower per 22 pound power to weight ratio, which means that you could theoretically take them to the Grid Life Sundae Cup.
Your segues will always be so much
you.
better than mine.
So Grid Life has.
Is it actually spelled like ice cream sundae?
Yes,
Is there a reason for that?
but because the Sundae with a Y is a race that happens in Gran Turismo,
okay.
and this is obviously a reference to that, so I don't want to copyright infringe them. So it's the Sundae Cup. Wow. So check out these rules. 1 horsepower per 22 pound power to weight ratio. Bolt-on modifications only, so you can't do like some crazy engine work. You can't do like $20,000 in head work on your like 92 Accord.
Can't put center locks on it.
Exactly. Well, I guess you could. That is technically a bolt-on.
I suppose that way of doing center
Yes.
locks, sure.
Sorry, no aftermarket limited slip differentials. No
can use
custom
factories.
Yeah, no custom gear ratios. No extensive aerodynamics, so you can't like spend $50,000 and hire a NASA scientist to make you a special body kit. Well, basically it's made so just anybody can get in and enjoy it, and it's very similar to the Sundae Cup in Gran Turismo, where it's just like, hey,
No
you have
relation.
to have your slow car.
So, so give me a 200 horse car. What would that have to weigh? 22. I'm bad with mental math.
1 horsepower.
Sure.
So,
Screw that. I'm bad. Like 200 horse. I'm just curious. Like,
200 horse would be 4,400 pounds.
wow, these are slow cars.
Yeah. So
wow, a 2.7 liter Charger.
yeah, basically. But like
Oh man.
Fits, Miatas.
Yeah, 2,200
Civics,
pounds, 100 horse. That'd be great.
like Mirages, literally. Like
This EZW30 with the restrictor plate.
these are totally reasonable cars that you can drive to the track, race them, and then drive them home. Like, that's what it's made for.
That is why I bought the 124.
I love the maximum tire width of 205 millimeters. Like, you cannot put a silly tire. Like, most cars today.
This sounds
don't-
like so much
This
fun.
is a perfect, like, you need to have tiny tires, tiny engine. This is good. I'm so here for this. I want to take a car to Grid Life.
Now I just
so
want a
bad.
souped up Fiat 500 with some ballast in it and call it good.
Yeah, seriously. Like, a Fiat 500 with a rear ballast would be great. Just get that rear end from not flying off the road.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sure it's fine. What could go wrong?
But yeah, no, it's very cool. Like,
I like that it's a nod
you
to
need
the
to you need to have, let's see here. So, like, yeah, you have to run decals for Grid Life organizers, obviously, for, so they know who you are. Tow hooks. Vehicles have to have minimum safety standards, like roll cage. Yeah, this is great. This is exactly what I want.
Are they doing this at all the festivals or just Midwest or?
So they're introducing it. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be at all their races now.
That's awesome. I've been meaning to go to Grid Life Midwest, so maybe this will be an actual reason to
Yeah,
go.
we should actually go. Because
That's like
I know
Michigan,
I
right?
know
It's not that
Chris, like the guy that runs it. I've met him years ago at like a Team Nostalgia. You know, a Puerto Rican Japanese car club that used to go to their car shows and.
No, but I know a lot about Puerto Rican car culture.
They had a Memorial Day car show that they would do every year in Chicago, and I went a few years. And I met Chris, the owner of Grid Life there.
Okay.
And yeah, he drove like a right-hand drive, like CRX. He also, his like daily driver is a Honda Street. Well, he's a very cool person.
So he is a fan of Slow Car Fest. Got it.
Yes, and that's why he made this. Like he's just a fantastic human. So yeah, I'm very excited to see this, and I would love to take a car out. I just wish Grid Life wasn't in Michigan. I wish it was closer.
Yeah, Michigan's not that bad.
But there's like a lake in the way, and which like makes it.
But the ferry's kind of fun.
Yeah, but like it makes it significantly longer to get to. And if you're driving like a car, it's prepped for racing.
Oh yeah. No, but I would just be spectating, so I would take something comfortable.
No, but that's the same. Like, I would like to take a car out on the track for this, but it's like I don't want to.
I don't have money for racing.
Yeah, I don't want to drive a Fiat with a roll cage or something in there. It'd be ridiculous.
I mean, I think a Fiat with a roll cage would be pretty cool.
But. Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you here and now, I get tired of like a normal car from here to Chicago, and this is twice as far.
Yeah, when I drove out to the thumb of Michigan with the Model S a couple of years ago to start working on the 2002 swap parts, I was pretty done with the trip by the time I got there. I'm like, this is much further than I thought it was going to be.
No, it's not fun. Like fun ends in Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Once you get into like Indiana, you're like, ugh, oh, okay. No, I don't want to stop anymore.
Yeah, no, you're just like, you're just like, I just want to be out of this car for the rest. I'm going to be Amish now. I'm not entering another motor
I would take the ferry
ever again
for sure.
Yeah,
like it does cost some money, but it's kind of fun. And I'm trying to think significantly shortens the trip.
Maybe, possibly, like the Buick with cruise control and air conditioning, and like a television. I might be able to make that happen. Because that is the most. I would have
only if you put that big Hawk television antenna on the trunk.
I would need like a couch on wheels, which is effectively the Buick. Except the Buick, I'd have to like stop every other town to fill up.
I was gonna say, like, other than the fact you'd burn through like 800 gallons of fuel on that trip.
Let's see here. So it gets 8 miles per gallon everywhere. It's literally
it's a Detroit diesel. It gets the same fuel economy idling as it does at full tilt on the highway.
Its estimated fuel economy is like literally like 8 to 11. Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. The Dynaflow is garbage.
Just turns fuel into heat.
Well, let's see here. So 10. Well, this is very simple. So 10 miles per gallon. And then it's gonna be about an 800-mile trip. So yeah, I'd have to fill up like 8 times, I think. Yeah.
What, 80 gallons of fuel?
Yeah, it'd be 80 gallons of fuel. No, actually, I'd have to fill up 3 times because it
what
is
they need to do
20-gallon tank.
Next time they do Grid Life Midwest, they need to make sure that Radwood is also happening at about the same time. Because I would make that trip for both of those events.
I think I could do it. Yeah, that'd make me feel good.
But then I'd have to take,
there has to be a race. Like, what if they held it at Road America?
That would be badass.
Because I don't want to go to Michigan.
I don't either. And Road America is less than half the distance.
Is a third the distance, literally.
That one.
Yes. It is literally almost exactly 1/3 of the distance.
If there was a Radwood, I would take an interesting car.
Yeah, so like, and if it was like Road America, I would like feel much better about taking a car I actually want to drive there.
Yes.
Actually,
that's within my AAA range, somewhere good.
I think the Cressida would qualify for that.
Should.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, of course it does. It's like 97 is like the cutoff.
Speaking of Cressida, I joined this Atlas 4200 swap group.
I think you gave me a screenshot of.
Like, I think I shared you
DCOE 45s.
Yes, and somebody made a DCOE 45 manifold adapter. Now I'm thinking, like, well, shit, like, that's actually cheaper than putting in a 1UZ.
Oh, wait.
If I end up not having to sell the Cressida to, like, pay bills and, like, not, like, die of starvation, I would actually, that might actually be a good option. I think it'd be kind of cool because that'd make, like...
I love LL8s.
They make stock, they make as much power as a 2J with bolt-ons. Like, not increased boost or anything, but like a 2J with like an intake and exhaust. Like, it's the same power as an LL8.
And that's with the dog shit truck manifold, too.
Yeah, and I would just do the dog shit truck manifold and just literally put it in there with a manual transmission. Because...
We were talking briefly, and we had this conversation, but like the flywheel was always the problem because GM made one prototype, and there's one guy that used to make them.
No, there's several companies that now make them.
Good, because the truck, the Colorado 5-speeds out of the 4 and 5 cylinder bolt right up to the actual engine.
Yep.
but the flywheel had the wrong bolt pattern on the six-cylinder.
So the six-cylinder, they make an adapter flywheel, and then you just need to use the ring gear off of the normal truck flywheel. So you just take the normal truck flywheel, rub the ring gear off it, stuff it on the new one, and you're good to go.
Yep. And those transmissions literally are $75.
Yep.
Because I did a bunch of research on this engine for the E36 M3 before I wanted to put a flathead in it, which I also didn't do.
Yeah, no, the world has changed in like literally 2 years. Like,
I believe it.
Like, yeah, no, this company like came out and there's like, here you go, here's your. I think it's because LS has got expensive.
I think it's because 3D scanners got cheap.
3D scanners got cheap. LS has got expensive. 1UZs are harder to come by now because the LS 400 is actually a collector car now. So you can't just like
thanks cash for clunkers.
Yeah, so like no, it's not even that. It's just like thanks bring a trailer. Like really, it's like
hey,
people
did
are
you
like,
guys know that these cars are actually really good?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
so like
there goes that.
and like you cannot find them in terrible condition anymore because like they've all been robbed
it's
of
just
their
like
engines.
E36s.
Yeah, you can't find them anymore.
It's like they're all good. All the leftover ones are good.
Yep, they're either good or they don't exist. And so here I am looking at Trailblazer engines.
LL8 is a cool
It
engine.
makes you feel better that it's at least in a Isuzu design for the most part.
I don't care who designed it. I love a big old straight six.
Yeah, I feel weird about putting an American engine into a Japanese vehicle because I'm such like a Japanese car evangelist. Like Japan made good things. However,
I mean, I get it.
I am a bigger Isuzu fan than I am a Toyota fan.
Jesus.
I will die on this hill that Isuzu never made a bad car. Every car made.
I don't even know that
by
many
Isuzu.
Isuzu cars.
Every car they made was great. They had the
The
Florian,
Impulse.
they had the Impulse, they had the Bellet, they had the Belel. They had great cars. Every car that they made was great.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
even the Florian.
They just they select not making cars when they're not going to do a good job.
Yeah, no, they just literally. And even when they did do a captive import, like for instance, the Isuzu Aska was solely we did get those.
Okay.
We got them. Have you ever seen those Honda Accords that said Isuzu on them? No. Because the last generation Aska was an Accord. It was a CD Accord.
That is so weird.
I know, right?
It's like seeing an Isuzu Ascender. I'm like, I don't even know what to think anymore.
Yeah, no, the Isuzu Aska was a CD Accord, a sedan, like with a 2-liter with a manual.
All Isuzu engines are fantastic.
Yeah, well, no, it was a Honda everything.
Oh, okay.
It was literally
still an
just
F.
it was a 2-liter F series. It was the only 2-liter F series we ever got in the United States.
That's so weird.
Very strange. But
I bet Bisimoto's creaming his shorts.
Yeah, I know, right?
Tuning one of those.
so yeah, there's but before that, the Aska was a first generation Subaru Legacy.
Because why wouldn't it be?
Because that's another perfect midsize sedan. And then before that,
Or wagon.
that is true. And then before that, what was the other one? They did make one before that, and I'm blanking on what it was.
Asking the wrong person. I can barely breathe.
Oh my god, what was the first
brain
generation
is so
Suzuki
slow.
Aska? What was wrong with me? And
Yeah, wow. Why would you not know that? Really obscure fact.
I'm so sorry about this.
The entire audience right now is like angrily sighing.
I
into
know.
their
I'm
phones.
very sorry. I'm blanking on it. Oh yes, the first generation
Aska.
was actually it was an Isuzu built vehicle. It was based off the GMJ platform,
Oh, wow. Okay.
but they had an Irmscher turbo version. You should Google Isuzu Aska, ASKA, Irmscher, IRMSCHER, turbo. This was in 1983, mind you.
All right. Images. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like a much better looking celebrity.
Because that's what, literally, it is a Chevy Cavalier or Celebrity.
Look at that. What the? Yeah.
150 horsepower, 2-liter turbocharged inline 4,
Putting that
fuel
on the,
injected.
putting that on the bolt list. Actually, it's kind of already on there on my.
But I mean, like, you could get like carbureted 1.8 or 2-liter or a diesel or a Irmscher turbo.
Irmscher.
Yeah, it's just
Irmscher.
great.
You know, when I think of a really sporty tuner name, I think of Irmscher.
Irmscher.
Makes me think of embouchure, which is the mouth shape you make to blow into a horn.
But yeah, if you look at the Wikipedia page for Isuzu Aska, you have 4 generations of incredible midsize sedans, ranging from 1983 to 2003. Like, it's just for like 20 years they did like just a survey. Well, what is the greatest midsize sedan? We're just gonna slap our name on it, and that's what they did. They made the greatest midsize sedans.
That looks so modern for 83.
I know, and it's great. That's a perfect vehicle.
Like, that chin spoiler is like straight 89.
This is what I'm saying. Isuzu's just the best. I
kind of want a Nürburgring turbo now.
Yeah, every car Isuzu made was the best car. Sorry, dude.
I know, it's not your fault.
Isuzu's the best brand. And I will die on that hill.
I'm not even contesting where you're going to die.
I know, but other people might.
Well, they can all not be part of whatever we're talking about.
Good. Anyway, tell me about your thing.
I'm going to tell about bad brand.
Okay. Coming off my high.
I know. It's really, we got to keep this cyclical. I'm like the bear market, you're like the bull market.
Yeah, we don't want people to get too excited about it.
No, God, no. So anyway, now that we've talked about the really great ahead of its time thing that Isuzu made in the 80s, let's talk about a really boring Tesla Model S update. However, I want to thank consumers, even the really bad ones that buy Teslas voluntarily, because of the immense backlash of that terrible yoke thing.
Oh, yeah?
Model S and X now have a regular steering wheel. But they finally went to the website. We talked about it a bit ago, that they were going to bring it back, but now it's officially actually a thing.
So they actually brought back the real steering wheel.
They did. It's now a no-cost option. It's still not the default choice. But the other fun thing is the Plaid gets factory performance brake pads, because they're basically admitting that those cars crash all the time, because 1,000 horsepower in a car that you sell to somebody...
Oh, you will cook the brakes on that.
They are woefully underbraked.
That's horrifying.
And the Plaids already have 6-piston, like, big old calipers.
Did you ever take a ride in my Supra? That was a woefully underbraked vehicle as well.
Yeah, I mean, I test drove along a long time ago.
No, in the summer, like when it was
No, I didn't.
Ooh, yeah. That was the very first time I ever experienced brake fade.
Oh, Well, I've experienced, like, brakes just not having enough gusto to really slow a car down.
You had about 2 good brakes. You could not slow down at once from 100 miles an hour to 30. You'd have to take several second breaks between that.
Yikes.
And it was not the pads were fine, the rotors were fine, everything was, the fluid was fresh, everything was the way it was supposed to be.
Was that a regular vacuum booster?
Yeah. It was
hell?
But that's also the thing, like it was a 14-inch wheel that was
And
stopping a 3,500-pound car from 100 miles an hour.
I have experienced, like, I'm going to crash brake issues 3 times in my life.
Yeah, and that was...
Once was my 190D turbo diesel, slowing down in Champlin when a light turned yellow and there was some speed involved, and I had 4 people in the car. I just had it on, it was floorboarded, and it was slowing down, but barely quickly enough.
Yes.
Another was in the P90D Ludicrous right when it came out, borrowed it to give Corey a ride, and in Lowry Tunnel...
Oh, God.
I had nowhere to go, and I was slowing down because around the corner, hey, there's cars there doing like 20 under, and I was going faster. I'm like, again, just
I might die
on the floorboard. I'm like, I'm getting ready to call my insurance company because this is going to be a crash.
Yes.
And luckily, just barely slowed down enough of time. And another one was an 18-wheeler moving into the left lane in front of me in my current car, floorboarded. It is slowing down, but not nearly enough. So woefully underbraked. Good. At least that happened, and thank you, shitty consumers, for at least forcing this terrible company to do a couple things that are beneficial for their product.
Well, that's good. So, do you want to go back to talking about happy things?
Yes, please.
I want to talk about the Daihatsu CO13T. Because this is a truck I recently discovered this vehicle.
Oh, I can't play this video. We're going to get another copyright.
All right, click on the video, and then I bring it up on the screen for everyone. And
I'm going to click into the middle of the video. Hold on.
Hang on.
Okay,
Before we get into the middle, I want you to see this vehicle. What do you think about this? You see that there's
it looks
3
like
wheels.
a tuk-tuk.
Yeah, it's three wheels. You assume it's probably what classification of vehicle?
An Indian taxi.
Yeah, like a K car or something, right?
Sure.
Like a K truck. It's a 1960s Daihatsu. It's a Daihatsu as well. So obviously, it is a K car.
Is it the predecessor to the midget? Like, what is this?
Hang on.
Oh, I'm skipping
Let's look
ahead.
at this.
That looks larger.
Screenshot.
That is big. How long is that bed?
Well, the 13 is the length of the bed in feet.
At least they were using feet.
Because it was made for the Okinawa market or something. It was very strange. But it is a 13-foot long bed.
Yeah. See, this is what a pickup truck should be.
That is
Strictly utilitarian and cute.
It is a whole-ass, full-size, 1.5-ton truck.
That has 6-bolt wheels and industrial tires.
With 3 6-bolt wheels. This is a tricycle.
The front is 6-bolt tires.
Yes. It is one.
It is the beefiest forks ever made. Like a Boss Hoss ain't got nothing on these.
It's so strange to me. I saw this and I go, okay, cool. This is a really cute K truck.
This is just like drive-bys in a K truck.
This is this guy's review of his gigantic, silly truck. It's got a great face on it. Like it's smiling. Very cute. It's perpetually smiling.
It's got the middle tires, like the tongue.
Yeah, it's got like it's like the world's biggest motorcycle. This is the thing. You could import this to the United States. You would not need a car driver's license. This qualifies as a motorcycle in the United States.
But it's massive.
I know. It's technically 3 wheels, so it's not a car.
So this, legally speaking, is the same in the country's eyes as a Piaggio MP3.
This is legally the exact same as the Yamaha Jog. This and a Honda Grom are the same vehicle. This is no different than a Honda Grom. It's a Honda Grom with a bed.
Well, the CC difference. I mean, you still needed a motorcycle endorsement probably for this, but
yes, this is several liters of like 2 or 3 cylinder engine.
Is it actually several liters, or is it between 1 and 2?
Several liters.
Oh,
if
okay.
I'm not mistaken.
All right.
It is a whole ass truck. This was not alone though.
Do you know what? I think it also has a real steering wheel.
Yes, it does. Mazda also made one.
What was that one called?
That was called the T1500.
Ooh, look at that engine.
Yeah.
Big spicy boy.
There's a full actual engine. But if you Google like the Mazda T1500, you'll see this. I mean, you could just Google it instead of. Oh, there we go. Perfect.
I did.
Yeah, that's the Mazda T1500. I've seen this in person, and like it is mind-boggling.
Oh man, it's even cuter.
Yeah, and it's
Why
like
did we stop making cars cute?
I have no idea, but like
Look at that bad boy.
Look
at his little hood scoop.
I've seen one of these in real life. I want you to know, like my head comes up to about where that mirror is. They're really big.
Oh.
Yeah,
But it's so cute.
I know. It's adorable.
Oh yeah, look at that full-size Harley Road King behind it. There you go.
Yeah, like you could fit several in the bed. Like this can put the bed of this can fit a whole ass car.
I still want to repoo more than that, but this is really cute.
They're very good. I absolutely, this is a bucket list vehicle for me. If I ever have the chance to buy a Mazda T, they also made a smaller one called the 1300, which
Oh, what does that signify?
it is.
Does it have a 1300cc engine?
No, I think that's actually the weight that
Or
it can
is it
carry.
the length of the feet?
I think it's the weight on
okay.
this. And
Gotcha. This also has a
kilograms.
6-bolt front wheel.
Or no, it's the weight in tons, if I'm not mistaken. A 1.3 ton truck versus a 1.5 ton truck.
Does this have
But
a
yes.
bimini top on it? Is it?
Yes, they put on.
It's a convertible 3-wheel pickup truck.
Yep. Yeah, that's how trucks are.
Why did our car culture just not be as cool as the rest of them?
Yeah, no, this is what happens when you win world wars: is you make worse vehicles. Like, I'm sorry, like that is objectively better than any other vehicle in the world. It is so dumb. A better car is a dumber car. If you have a smart car, if you have a smart vehicle,
Yes.
you have a crossover.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that just checks as many boxes as possible.
We've been over this before. The worst cars are better.
That is the worst possible vehicle, which ergo means
It is the best.
this is the perfect enthusiast truck. Yes,
Yes, correct.
That is it. There you go.
Speaking of wars and car things,
Yes.
I want to talk about Latvia shipping all of its drunk drivers' cars after they've been seized by the state into Ukraine.
Latvia is such a based country.
I love this so much. And it's like, so in Minnesota, for our listeners here, like when you are a repeat drink driver, you get a whiskey plate, which is a white license plate that starts with a W to signify that you shouldn't be behind the wheel of anything.
It's effectively a scarlet letter, yeah. Like you are stuck wearing this.
But if this happened to you in Latvia, your car would be repossessed by the state and shipped to a family in Ukraine that does not have a car anymore. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Latvia is such a great country because they like live right next to Russia.
Yep.
And they know that like there's no point in appeasing Russia.
Right.
So they just live to be the biggest pain in the fucking ass.
Hey, can we get through? I'm like, yeah, maybe tomorrow. And like, do you have that form signed?
Well, you know, so like, if you're like familiar with the map of like of Europe, you know, Russia has a little enclave. Like, if you ever look at like a map of Russia, it's just Russia, and then like there's a blank spot, and there's a little like rectangle that's really small. That's called Kaliningrad. Is that little rectangle?
Okay.
To get to Kaliningrad, you have to go through the Latvian border.
Okay.
In Latvia, had to be told by NATO to let the Russian trains through because Latvia wasn't doing it. And they're like, we really, like, we want...
How many of them were Slav squatting it at us?
They literally just, like, I think, like, they, like, literally blocked the track. Like, they put a tank on the track, went, nope, sorry, you're not coming through.
Yeah, it can't come through right now. We're servicing our tanks today.
Yeah, so they, NATO, like, had to tell them, like, not the EU, but, like, it's like, hey,
I really hope on your honeymoon trip you guys go to Latvia.
I would love to go to Latvia. Latvia is such a based country.
I was thinking, like, we should do this too, but then I'm like, all of the cars that the drunk drivers drive up here are so bad, and we have no safety inspections, they wouldn't want them.
We're not trying to harm Ukraine.
How many do you think they've shipped over in the last 2 months?
Oh, I mean, Latvia is it's an Eastern European country, so hundreds.
200.
What?
200 cars, and that's from offensive drink drivers, not just somebody that got pulled over for it. So 200 in the last 60 days. Good going, brilliant. Latvia.
Latvia's a great country.
And there were probably cars that were previously stolen in the United States and shipped over, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
So, all right, let's have one last quick little topic. I want to talk about a great future classic that's coming up, and this is something that's under everybody's radar.
Which is?
First and second generation Honda Fits.
Oh, you put the second in there, too.
Yeah, because they're basically the same thing. The second generation was just an improved first generation.
Wasn't it a fair bit heavier?
Nope.
Really?
They weighed, I think it was like within like 100 pounds,
wow,
if I'm not mistaken. But they just moved the engine a little bit further back for better handling. It made it much harder to work on. However, they had a much better color palette.
Yes, I do remember that. That was right around the same era that they went to the
yeah.
EXP and they had like a bunch of metallic blues and greens.
But like realistically, like the Fit, having spent extensive time in a Fit, was the last gasp of like old school Honda, where like lightweight, high revving engines, the slow car fast thing.
Yep.
Like, you know, a first generation Honda Fit felt very similar to the EF hatch, and like the first
same formula, yeah.
Yeah, like the third generation fits the bill as well to a lesser extent.
Yeah, but that's like the second gen XB. It's like he kind of phoned it in.
Yeah, like it wasn't as good. It's good, but like, you know, it looks wrong. That's the worst part.
Third gen Fit.
I will say
it looks wrong.
The first generation I like the most because the other two generations have a cursed design problem. You know the door handle? They have the little keyhole for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the door handle pulls up to open the door.
Yeah.
Well, that plastic piece that goes around the keyhole is part of the handle.
Yeah.
And so if you have your key in the door and you open the door to pull it up, you have to pull the key out before you open the door.
This is odd.
It's such a mild, like nuisance. But it's
only if your keyless is broken or you didn't order it.
Or like, yeah, or if your car's dead or something.
Sure.
But like, it's just like, it's such a situational thing.
Yeah.
Like that's like the QA analyst, like bug testing thing that was missed.
That's the bug bounty for the Fit.
Yeah, like that was the thing that they missed, and it's just like it's just that literally is why I would like that's enough to make me shy away from one.
Oh my god!
Like back in the day, that was enough for me to shy away from one.
Well, I mean, I recommended those cars to people all the time. Like, they're tremendous on fuel. They're very reliable. They are super fun to drive. They were cheap for a long time. They're still pretty cheap.
They don't really get stolen because they don't interchange with anything.
All right, it's an L series engine, right? So...
Yeah, it's an L series engine. I mean, it's kind of like a CA Accord. Where a CA Accord, yeah, everything bolts onto it, but there's not anything from a CA Accord that you want to put onto something else.
Right. It's not like it's got a B20 under the hood.
No, like you could, and like they even had they had an all-wheel drive version in Japan.
Of the CA?
No, of the Fit.
Oh, okay.
And the Fit all-wheel drive version had the same all-wheel drive system that the first gen HRV had.
Oh, interesting.
Where you had the twist beam that went up around the differential.
Yeah.
Very strange. But you can make an all-wheel drive Fit now, like very easily.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
even though it's the real-time all-wheel drive system, but whatever.
Terrible all-wheel drive system,
Yeah,
but that's
if you need it, okay.
it's better than a boot in the ass. Like it's a pretty.
Better than
works.
Haldex.
Yeah, it works. But yeah, no, that's a very cool car that a lot of people do not think about.
What about the first gen in this country Yaris though? Because I mean that's about the same age.
I want one very badly. When I was buying the Fiat, I was looking for one.
I know.
I could not find the spec I wanted. Because I wanted a first generation 3-door in a color with a manual transmission, under 100,000 miles.
Oh, that would have been tough. They all got driven.
Every single one's been driven and used.
And the same thing with the Fits too. I mean, you can find some old people, but they're going to be autos.
Yeah, and I was also like price was a factor as well because my full intention with the Yaris was I wanted to get the TRD supercharger to put on it, and so if it was one of those things where I was actively looking for one. If I found a TRD supercharger before I found the car, I'd buy the supercharger for the car and then have to buy the car.
Right.
But I could not find either of those items in a timely fashion. I could find cars with TRD superchargers and then just take it off and sell the car as a normal car. But
yeah, but then you run into the computer and all that kind of stuff. So
no, yeah, but I think they just had like a piggyback or something. Like it was.
Oh, that could be. It was like a Gretty E-Manage or something like that.
Yeah, it's just like they basically just bolted together.
Yeah,
but then I found the Fiat with a red interior,
and it already had a power adder.
Yeah.
From the factory.
Exactly, perfect. So
I mean these are in the naughties that we got both of those cars, and there are some other cars that we'll talk about in like 10 years time, and I've got those in there too. But
what's the Matribe twin?
Matrix Vibe twins.
Oh, Matrix Vibe Matribe. Yes.
So those are earlier, but they're quite a bit bigger.
And they're similar to the Yaris. I mean, same engine. No, they were the ZZ engines, actually. My bad. Yeah. They were based off the Corolla.
1 and 2
But still,
ZZ.
yeah. They're very good.
The AZ series was in the Yaris. It was the non-Atkinson cycle version
of... This is a 1.5,
yeah, it was the XB engine, the first-gen XB engine.
Yes.
Anyway, those are great, too.
Yeah, they're really cool, especially if you get the Vibe GT. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's
2ZZ.
That's the one you want.
Especially because all those engines still work because they were rev limited to 7,800 RPM, so they never failed the oil pumps. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then you can just flash them.
Yeah, very good vehicle. So just basically any of those late 2000s like compacts, they're all good.
Find a small car with a stick, and that's it. Just
next episode, we're gonna have, if we have time, we're gonna have a quick little like buyer's guide thing because Johnny Langholtz is looking for a car, and he's having a hell of a time.
Oh
God. We'll get on that next episode. But anyway, thank you for listening.
Now.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.